Put it across your shoulder. Let me look at that.
Right shoulder.
That's better. It's difficult to verbalize how much fun it is to assemble a group of photographers and show them places that few people have ever been. I want a blurred background. So I got to open up to 2.8.
We don't have any traffic, we don't have any competition. We just hop in the car and go wherever we want, whenever we want, stay as long as we want. We just pretty much do our own thing.
It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to.
Every turn in the road, whether you looked, across a meadow or up the side of the mountain, there was always something you wanted to stop and photograph.
I can't think of another place on planet Earth that offers the variety for a photographer than Cielo Vista Ranch in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains of the Colorado Rockies, in the San Luis Valley. 80,000 acres of aspens that reach their peak color in late September, early October. And we also have one of the largest elk populations in the Rocky Mountains. Once you get all set up here, and I'll give you guys a lesson. These guys have all done this before. We're going to do a lesson on the settings on your camera, and then we're going to do motion blur over here on this waterfall, and then let you just wander around and practice. Always. I mean, even when you leave here, no matter what shooting you're doing, you always shoot in Adobe RGB. So let's go ahead and set those settings. The enthusiasm level on the first day of the Colorado workshop is hard to measure, and so we jumped in the cars and ran to a huge meadow and had a lesson on motion blur.
Sweet. Phil went through the steps individually and showed you the settings that you needed to use. I picked it up and I went from there. It was awesome. I had never done that before.
It's just the greatest thing in the world to see the glow on their face when they succeed doing a technique that they've never done before. And what I've learned over this year and last year is that once we get through with the lesson on motion blur and they see what they can do, well, then everyone disappears. They all go in their own directions by themselves. Some people are going up the stream further to find other waterfalls to, exercise what they've learned and expand on their knowledge. Shooting the leaves, shooting some of the old logging cabins that are in the woods over there. See that ridge right there?
Yeah. Oh,
that's the
okay.
closest, so we can get up there into some color
Corrosive.
and then have a spectacular view. I have to keep reminding myself that overall, although the leaves are late in turning, there are always pockets of color on this 80,000 acre ranch. And sure enough, we found them and got them into some color. And my plans are always to go into that area and spend about 2 or 3 hours, but the area is so magnificent and so varied that we end up spending about 6 hours in that area and still didn't get it all.
Boy, this is fabulous.
These might be the best pictures yet.
Don't even look at the numbers. Clear that screen out, and all you got to worry about is 3 clicks that way or 3 clicks this way.
The ranch is a warm, wonderful place to come. You're on top of the world right here.
You've got the place to yourself.
This year, weather conditions were not favorable for the magnificent sunsets that I'm used to when we come up here. It was absolutely solid blue sky. It wasn't a single cloud in the sky, which is not the optimum conditions for sunset photography.
Unfortunately, we didn't get the sunsets that we were looking for this year, but what we got was far better.
Now, on the second day, sure enough, we had the same thing as before. The conditions were just not favorable for the grand sunsets that we're looking for. So I took a chance and passed out the camo and went down to the giant meadow. And I was crossing my fingers that we were going to be at the right place at the right time.
And you could hear the bugling every direction. And it just made you totally energized.
I helped everybody get into position, find a tree to lean against, and to be prepared for whatever was going to happen.
The elk calls, they just echo, and it almost feels like you can close your eyes, like you can't believe where you are with all of those echoing, surreal calls going on.
And then all of a sudden, you know, there was some elk in front of us.
Look right there.
When I saw the bull step out of the forest, it was complete vindication. I was overjoyed. I mean, I was overjoyed for them because several of the people that were here had never even seen a live elk, much less have it approach them and have them take pictures of it as it walked directly toward us.
I shot hundreds of pictures as fast as I could, without shaking, as much as I could. I thought he was going to stop and turn and run for a second, but he didn't. He just kept coming.
The first bull that stepped out came straight towards us, as if he knew we were there and he knew what we were looking for. And your heart starts to beat, and you know you're supposed to focus on the shot, but all you want to do is look at that elk as he comes towards you. It was fantastic. It was fantastic.
I knew that I wasn't going to get much of a chance to do this again, so I was basically trying to take as many photos as I could.
Just click, 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 that's all you heard.
When he did walk off, you're still left with the incredible high. You're still left with the excitement. And you're thinking, okay, we've had a good time and time to go, and we've shot the elk, and lo and behold, here comes another one. Right behind the first one. The entire thing happened again.
It was cameras clicking. He too did the same thing, came right up to us, gave us every opportunity to not only take his pictures, but also just enjoy the absolute beauty of nature.
When the second bull left and it was too dark to shoot anything, I could not wait to stand up and see the expressions on their faces. Is that cool or what? That was so cool. Fantastic.
That's awesome.
That was incredible.
I'm freezing to death, but I don't care.
Right.
That was great. That was great.
So you got your 300 on there?
400.
Oh,
And he was right in front, right where those
right in front of
gold, the sun was just hitting the trees, the gold trees, and he stood right there for me. It was perfect. It was awesome.
There's nothing like it, is there?
No.
There's no feeling like it in
Not
the
at
world.
all.
It's not every day that you get to see something like this, so yeah, we were all very happy. We were riding a wave of adrenaline, I guess you could say, and it was a really good moment.
I knew that for the remainder of the week, if we didn't have any more sunsets, that this was going to be the place we were going to spend the last hour of daylight.
To look at the pictures, to be able to see what you created, it was absolutely worth every moment of the chilly night and sitting sometimes on cold ground. It was worth every minute of it. Everyone that steps out is a precious moment, is an absolute gift.
Anytime you take any kind of picture whatsoever, it always has to be processed. There's no such thing as having a picture come out of the camera ready to print and distribute however you want to. And so we spend a full day doing Photoshop. Now I'm going to pick up a mask, going to get my brush, and this is definitely something I want to blend in gradually.
Phil brings out those little things that you need to know first to get the best out of your photographs. And he makes it so simple and easy to understand.
It's working on your original file, but it's not making permanent adjustments.
So now I'm just thinking I've got this hard drive of images that I can go back now and process correctly using Photoshop and just take them from an okay image to a great image.
So there we have it. We've seen from the very beginning of taking the picture all the way to either printing it or putting it on the internet. Once again, we didn't have any clouds, and so I thought, let's go back down to the meadow.
Much as I wished for a sunset, in the back of my mind I was really hoping to go out and look for elk again. And tonight we went to a new spot and we didn't go very far. There were dozens of them out there.
The last thing I expected was to see a herd of elk already in the meadow, and we had not even gotten into position yet.
So we all just stopped and started photographing what was in front of us. And lo and behold, if one terrific bull doesn't come towards us, doesn't know we're there, and again, hearts are racing. You're so excited that not only is he coming towards you, he has no idea you're there.
As we were all standing there and he got closer and closer, I fully expected him to bolt, but he never did. He got closer and closer, and and everyone was shooting, and we were turning, and he just ignored us. It was tremendous.
Every step he took, I took a picture. Every time he turned his head, I took a picture. It didn't stop.
After the bull had walked right past us, everybody was looking at each other in absolute amazement.
Incredible.
That was super.
At that point, we could have been very happy with what we achieved, and we could have gone back to the lodge, but I thought, we've still got a lot of light. Let's push the envelope and see what else we can get. So we decided to approach the herd as closely as we possibly could. So the only way to do that is to crawl through the sagebrush very, very slowly and very, very carefully to see just how close we could get.
You just didn't want to stop taking pictures. You didn't want to stop trying. It might not be glamorous, it might not be elegant, but there's nothing like it. It's truly the most exciting photography you can take.
Everyone spread out, and we all had our individual positions, and pretty soon we could hear all the shutters going off, which told me everything I needed to know.
It's not something in a zoo or a farm. These are real wild elk, and to get that close to them is just a thrill. It's incredible. Sitting there, you're looking forward, watching the elk across the field, and then from behind you, you hear a set of hooves. You think, oh, hang on a minute, that's an elk coming up behind you, but you can't turn around because you'll scare him.
I had to stop and think for a while, is that bull coming up behind me, and do I need to pay attention? But they were everywhere.
But it is a very special experience of the sort of contact with an animal that you just don't ordinarily see. It's kind of the ultimate right place at the right time.
I have to keep reminding people that this is not a national park. This is not a game preserve. These animals are not used to people, and we have the opportunity, and you've done everything right and enabled yourself to get so close to these animals in their wild environment. It is a rush that is like none other. As we were shooting and as we were observing the wildlife, it didn't matter how cold it was. We didn't feel the cold. All we felt was the excitement of what we were seeing and capturing.
He owned the forest, but we owned the photo, and that's what we're taking home, the photo.
I think sunsets would have been beautiful, but this was amazing.
Cool. You got some nice prickles in that grass.
One of the great things this year that I'm very proud of is that we did come to the South facility, and we had much more room for people to spread out, go over their images, and get comfortable. And the lodge is at the 9,000 foot elevation, very, very remote. It takes you at least an hour and a half from the last beam of city light to get to this facility. As such, the students, after everyone else was in bed, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, they're out on the balcony doing night shots. In actuality, we have 4 different areas of photography we can concentrate on in this ranch. We can do night shooting, we can do sunsets, we can do the elk, and of course, focus on the aspens and the fall colors. And you really don't have to leave the lodge in order to get spectacular pictures. from the deck, from around the edge of the pond. There's plenty to shoot right here. In fact, every morning right after sunrise in the adjoining meadow, there was a herd of elk that the guys were shooting from right outside their bedrooms. Wow, that's what I'm calling an ocean of color.
Next day you wake up and all of a sudden, boom, areas where there was no color all of a sudden have color and are incredibly beautiful.
Ready to go. I'm off.
Don't forget to reset your ISO from 3200 from what we were shooting last night. I want to go to 100.
The gold was just popping everywhere. It was incredible to watch that change happen so quickly. Just absolutely amazing colors.
When we drive up through the ranch and you look out the window, your mind starts racing. It's like, oh man, you're not quite sure where you're gonna shoot, but when you walk out there, it's endless possibilities.
The sun is perfect.
Such a special place, such a quiet place, and the colors just made it that much more special.
You can shoot anything from a grand, expansive, panoramic vista down to a single leaf with water droplets on it.
I'll show you a very, very strange shot when the raven flew across the sun. And it had an odd wing position. It's just got the backlight.
The bird looks evil.
Yeah, I know, it's so weird. But I like it because it's weird.
Every direction you looked, it just didn't stop. It didn't matter where you went.
This is my favorite spot, I think.
I think so too.
I took this workshop last year, and after it was over, I went home, and Phil actually really encouraged me to just take photography a little bit more seriously. And now I'm actually doing it to make money.
When I started the Colorado workshops, and of course telling my 92-year-old father what we were going to be doing, I could sense a desire on his part to join us. He had never been to Colorado before, much less when the Aspens were at their full glory. And so this year, I said, yes, come on in. We invited him and he came, and it was tremendous. Stacy began to shoot him with her children. She shot him against some of the fall colors. She shot him sitting on the couch when we came back from a day's shooting. And that was the last thing I expected, was her to find the landscape in his face that complemented the landscape of the area.
In a way, a face is a lot like a landscape. It's got its own story, its own beautifulness, its own uniqueness. I mean, you could photograph it from a different angle every day and, you know, find something new. I read somewhere that every day 2,000 World War II veterans die, and here I had this adorable man with me for 5 days, and I just got to sit down and talk with him and photograph him and hopefully, you know, tell a little bit of his story through some photographs. I got out of photographing from him, just, I don't know, I felt like love almost. I could see, you know, he's met my daughters for just a few days here and just swept them up as his own almost. And, you know, that's priceless. I mean, one day he'll be gone, and then you won't have anything else to remember that moment by except for those images.
That's the benefit of using this thing. You don't have to look through each time. And then when you're doing a pano that has clouds in it, you do it quick because those clouds are moving.
It's just been a wonderful week. We've all had good friendships. We've all swapped gear, learnt different things. Phil's taught us things that we never thought we'd ever command in our minds.
As days passed, all of these locations and these colors and the wildlife all comes together to create this excitement that you just can't get anyplace else.
This trip I improved as a photographer probably more than I've improved in any trip before.
and you can't even really explain it. And when you're out and all the trees are golden and the wind's blowing and it's just snowing golden leaves, it's an experience of a lifetime.
An amazing place. And then a place that I'm not sure if I want to keep a secret or tell anybody. I think I might like to keep it a secret.
The word Cielo Vista is translated into English as heavenly view. I prefer to think of the Cielo Vista Ranch as the front porch of heaven.